with part of your foundation of your relationship is infidelity at such an early state where there's lies and deceit, that's not a good place for a kid anyway. Just like it's not a good place for you or her. 2 drinks in.
My 28 male girlfriend, 28 female, told me last night that when I was living in another city at the beginning of a relationship that she slept with another man. Okay.
Ooch.
I could really use an outside view of infidelity here. So in the last year, I rekindled a relationship with a girl I loved growing up. The trouble is I live 1,600 miles away in Colorado, and our long-distance relationship grew, and I decided to move back to my hometown. I left a great living situation in hopes to build a better life with her, among other reasons, like being closer to family and friends. I closed on a house in 2 days, and the plan was to have her move in with me. I've been 100% invested in the relationship, even though it's my first in 10 years. She has a 5-year-old daughter, and I've stepped up in a big way to be a father figure to her and a super supportive boyfriend to her mother. I've also stepped up in a big way professionally with a new job to support her and provide a home and comfortable lifestyle. Last night she tells me that she can't move in with me and she isn't good enough for me. She said that because she has a low self-esteem, I've always written it off, assured her that she is. This time she told me that while I was still in another state, she slept with another man. At that point in the relationship, we had told each other that we were in love, and I was working to leave my great job and move home, that I would tell her I'm coming home for you, and that's when she slept with another man who she said what she saw as a friend. I love this girl, and I know she loves me. That's why she told me before we moved in. And I know that I'm the best thing that's ever happened to her. She hasn't had a lot of positive male figures in her life, but she betrayed me early on and kept it from me. I work extremely hard and always tried to do the right thing. Now I have doubts about keeping someone in my life that could do that sort of thing to someone they love. I'd love to be able to work through this because she makes me so happy. She seems like she's my soulmate. Is this something we can come back from?
Okay, let me start this one.
Okay.
Stay quiet. So the idea of soulmate, that's a really bad concept. I don't know. We've talked about
the feeling. Yeah, we've both talked about it. I hate soulmates.
The soulmate thing, there's no such thing as soulmate. There's a lot of people, there are multiple people you can have a good relationship with. A very healthy, successful, grow old together relationship. There isn't a soulmate. So you got to get that out of there. You have uprooted your life. You're going to be a stepdad, this whole thing, bought a house. So she's just getting like a free life, a super free life.
Yeah.
And she does that anyway. I mean, that's a severe breach of trust. You can go to couples counseling for that, but you guys aren't married from what I see there. You guys are just dating. This is what's happening in your dating situation. That's a huge red flag. And I know you say like you love her, you're romantic, and I respect and understand that, but sometimes and you're saying you're looking for an outside perspective. We're not in love with her, so we can be a little bit more, I'll say, rational, right? Because romance, love blinds sometimes.
Yeah.
You really have to think, can you actually live with that, right? Because one thing, so everything she's done to you is unfair, but what would be unfair of you is to say, oh no, it's fine, kind of like push it in, like guys do. We push it in, and then 5 years later you let that brew and you're resentful, like I could have been with someone else because I have a good job, I'm just a good guy, all this stuff, but you did this to me. And like now her daughter is 10 and you've been her dad for 5 years, and then you're gonna lose half your house, you're gonna lose half your income. You're gonna lose all that out of this trying to be nice and trying to be a savior, where you have the savior mentality of like, oh, she hasn't had a lot of father figures, and she told me she's not good enough for me. But like, that's okay. You're being a white knight to a person, and she could be a genuinely nice person, and you could be a good friend to this person, but it doesn't mean you have to save her. Doesn't mean that you have to put her in the pedestal of soulmate. It doesn't mean you have to put your life and your financial and your real physical life at risk just to be nice and for the sake of being not rude or not a bad person. Which is no good, because you know what, when guys end up losing half of their stuff and losing their job and losing their reputation, we're 10 times more likely just to put a gun in our mouth and blow our brains out. You know,
Yeah.
divorce and loss of relationship is a real risk to a man's life compared to a woman. So, do you want that risk? And also, is this if you're with someone like that, and you could appreciate that she said that to you, that she told you,
Yeah.
and you give credit to that? That's, I guess, you can give credit to. It means something. We'll say it means something,
Okay.
but as I said, can you really live with that and not live with that and put it in your body and then die of cardiac problems later because you were resentful your whole life, or you're doubtful your whole life? Because that's a really common experience for men and women.
Yeah. Okay. You done?
I'm done.
Okay. Devil's advocate here, Adam. I'm going to go the other way.
Good.
Good. So here's the thing. Like, what you're saying, some of the things that you do need to be wary for. I do agree with this, where it's like, okay, you're going to be with this woman. She cheated on you. And you know, you now have this mistrust. Okay. Got it. You're putting yourself very much out there in a lot of ways, where you've bought a house, you moved thousands of miles to get to where you need to be, and you've also now become a father figure to this 5-year-old girl, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So first off, when it comes to a marriage thing, I'm going to say 2 words that will change your life. Prenuptial agreement.
That doesn't mean a lot in courts all the time, man, unfortunately.
Yes, but it also is a conversation that can be had here. Is this something you can bounce back from? I'm going to say yes.
If she moves in with them, she already has half the things, so the marriage doesn't even have to happen.
Yes and no. Okay, so she
Yeah.
moves in. Okay, this is not something you go, okay, I'm gonna lord this over your head. Well, you cheated on me. This is at the same
No,
time
Never.
you don't lord something over somebody in any
No.
kind of relationship, because then that
Just don't
breaks-
be in a relationship at that point.
yeah, well, if you're gonna do that, don't be in a relationship.
Yeah.
I would be more inclined where it's just like, okay, we've made it this far with things going on. Okay, this is another conversation of communication where it's like, I appreciate you telling me this. Okay, because I've seen a lot of relationships where there has been this, you know, a cheating has happened very early on in a relationship, you know, and then years and years and years and years go by, and you now get to this point where you're like, oh, okay, well, I actually, you know, have been with this person for a very long time, and I don't, you know, whatever. But what I'm saying is, I've seen things like this work out, and they work out really well for people. This goes back to something that we've talked about earlier, which is, what are you willing to put up with?
Is that a good line to have? Like, can I really tell someone, so what are you really going to put up with when it comes
Patience.
to cheating and infidelity?
Well, no,
Like,
no. It's this is like in the realm of boundaries, right? Where this is where I'm going to play devil's advocate for the woman in this situation who has the, you know, 5-year-old daughter. We often very much go for the man in this situation. Why don't we also champion the woman sometimes here? Now, hear me out. Hear me out. Cheating sucks. Don't do it. Fucking don't do it. If you cheat, okay, the proper response is to immediately tell your partner in any of this where that trust is getting broken. But I also will say that, like, these things where fear, confusion, horrible things go through a cheater's mind, like somebody who has cheated. What's the old saying? Like, cheaters don't do it to hurt the other person, you know?
no, cheaters do it most of the time for narcissistic, selfish reasons. Yeah, which then ultimately hurts the other person.
It ultimately hurts.
because they were severely self-centered and hateful. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is the thing where this person has often said that they have low self-esteem, they didn't feel appreciated. You know, the guy's
Well, so of
16,
course-
1,600
of course
away, 1,600 miles away, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
28, I gotta zip back in time to what it was, to be 23, what, 5 years ago? Would have been?
Yeah, hold on. How old is he? No, they're both 28.
They're both 28. So
Yeah,
5
yeah,
years ago, 2015, this is still in dating app town where dating apps are everywhere, and you can just like, oh, I feel, you see so much in the world where you're like, oh, I'm lonely and I need to go out and just fucking, go fuck, whatever.
Yeah.
Was it something shitty that she held on to, that she didn't tell you when it happened? However long it had been that this happened.
Yeah.
I don't know what the gap is of like when it happened and how long.
Yeah.
But I think that this was a huge leap for her, where she is literally 2 days from moving in with this guy. She's literally, she could move in with this guy, live the entire life. He would know nothing about this whole thing, and they just move on with life, and they die happy with each other. Full notebook. Everybody kisses, and then they fall asleep dead at the age of 90. Spoilers, but they fucking. She went on a leap of faith here and said, "Hey, I am going to tell you this thing. It could end this whole thing, but I'm gonna. It's sharing that trust." Or it could be what you're probably going through your head, where you're like, "Come on, man!" Like,
but she kept it. She said that she cheated on him early on, and then didn't tell him until he moved to another state, which takes months and months and months. That's the problem. She didn't cheat and then just tell him. She waited till about the last minute, like, well, you're already here, so I'm gonna tell you, right? We could also take it from that perspective.
I mean, yeah, you could take
like,
it from
I'm about to move. I'm about to move in, but I'm telling you this, so I already, released my apartment or whatever. I didn't, sign a new lease, like, but
right. Oh, I already got this thing, so I can tell you what's going on.
Yeah. So
okay.
We don't know we don't know, right? We're gonna open up every possibility and what it could feel like.
Yeah.
And also, that's what I'm saying, because she kept it a secret for a while. Like I was trying to find the exact word. He said, but she betrayed me early on and kept it from me. See?
Okay.
So there was a gap.
So
there was
yeah.
a gap there for sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, the betrayal happened a long time ago in this. Like, a while ago. Whatever your time gap is.
Yeah.
This definitely is a conversation that would need to be happening. In my personal experience, should it had happened to me, like, say my wife comes down here and is like, hey, while we were dating back in college, I cheated on you.
You're married. This is a totally different situation.
Yes and no. I still have. Well, it is and it isn't. Where I have a kid with her, and we have children. We have a house. Yeah. I have the house. I pay for the house and everything else.
Yeah.
But let's put this guy in my shoes.
They're just dating. They haven't moved in. He can just walk away with no consequence on that's it. Where if you walked away, there's a severity of consequences. It's not even on the same scale.
Yeah, but I mean. Like, everybody forgets the child in this situation.
Yeah. But this child, he's 1,600 miles away. He hasn't been seeing the child the same way as in like a dad where you have every day, right? So yeah, the child is a big point here, but it's at this point, it's not going to be his fault.
Okay.
Right? This would not be his fault, right? If
he chooses.
Then that would have been his fault, and he would have been fucking up the kid. But he's innocent bystander here, and he has to make a decision for himself, not sacrifice himself for a child.
I mean, it's a lot.
Someone else's child at that point, right?
It's a lot to take away. What I would very much do in this is where my "what are you willing to put up with" question is. Yeah. And this is going to have to be your decision on this. Like, this is a good hard one, and I like that. Yes, I just admitted that I like a good hard one, but all joking aside,
you need a drink. That's why it's 2 drinks in.
That's why it's 2 drinks in. Now, you just need to make sure that, it's communication, conversations. This trust thing kind of feels a little broken. If you walked away, no one would fault you. I don't think anybody in the world would ever fault you.
Not a reasonable person. Someone who tries to use shame against you, say, how dare you walk away from her, all of that. Trash person, don't even bother with those people, what they say, because there will be those trash people out there who say that.
Yeah, I mean, you would do so, and you would be within your right to do so. If you are wanting to try to build off of this relationship, it's a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
It's a ton of hard work to do something. It's what you're willing to put up with, is what my point is. If you're willing to put in so much hard work, it probably isn't healthy, but at the same time, what satisfaction do you get from it? You might, become the father figure to this 5-year-old, to where you are there every day, and that you do get to see these amazing things grow from what you build in a relationship. But let me finish. That you also have to remember that there was this trust that was broken. So it will be there. It is a conversation that needs to be had. I will think about this a little bit further. I might consult a few of
we'll come
people.
back to this one.
But this is definitely a good one. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. This is immediate impressions to everything. So you'd have to forgive us. But
part 2.
Part 2 will probably happen.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah. So you have to think of yourself. I know everyone's saying think about the kid, and you do, but you also have to. You can think of yourself first here. This is not your kid. You guys aren't moved in together. You haven't committed to that level with the kid or with the woman, and you can't. If people shame you, don't worry about the shame. But you have to really see for yourself. Are you really going to be okay with this for the rest of your life? Because your life and your finances are in the balance, and this kid's life is in the balance, and her life is on the balance. And it would be a great disrespect to her, yourself, the kid, and your family, her family, to go into this relationship with good intentions of being a good man. Because it's what you seem to be. You're not saying anything that makes you a trash man, but then saying I can't do this, and then breaking up with her 1 month later, 7 months later, 7 years later, 14 years later. You that's something you lose the option to do that, but you'll be free to have that option. So you really had to take that into consideration, because you know what? Let's be honest, with someone who didn't cheat on you, this is not going to be a block. This is not going to be an issue. This is not going to weigh in your heart that way. Being with someone else is just going to be healthier and easier for your body and for your mind. There's just 100% on that.
Okay.
When it comes to infidelity, unless they cheat on you also. But let's just say someone who doesn't cheat on you, you're going to be in a healthier spot for the foundation of a relationship where there's a child involved. Being with part of your foundation of your relationship is infidelity at such an early state where there's lies and deceit. That's not a good place for a kid anyway, just like it's not a good place for you or her. Right. So I'm being a negative Nancy about it, but I think for good reason. And also the last thing I'm going to say from a professional standpoint, and this is a statistical standpoint, is that people who cheat and lie and are secretive about it, they will always project that onto the innocent person, and are always suspicious and make your life miserable and say that you're the cheater or you're the one sneaking around. This happens time and time and time again. We see this in the data. And do you even want that, have a chance of that? Say there's a 50% chance of that being your life, especially that she doesn't process any of that stuff. Do you even want that, even though you're the innocent person? This happens all the time, and this doesn't matter on gender.
Right.
So this sucks. This sucks because you love the woman, but like sometimes you gotta not be romantic. Yeah. Men are awfully romantic, and this is why we knock ourselves out like Shakespeare plays too, which is a big problem.
Yeah, it doesn't work out like movies all the time, man. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah, it works out like tragedies more often than not. So read a lot of Shakespeare. That'll actually be really helpful.